So when we're doing a cumulative frequency graph, the key is this idea of accumulating, gathering things together. So in the 0 to 10, we've got 3 people, we carry those across. But in the next one we need to accumulate, we need the 3 plus the 6, and that gives a total of 9. In the next one, we need a 3 plus a 6 plus this extra 5, which gives us 14. And in the final one, we've got 3 plus 6 plus 5 plus the 2, and that gives us 16. And that tells us actually in total, in this whole group of data, there are 16 people, or whatever it might be. Now there are 4 key points to plotting a perfect cumulative frequency graph, and they'll be worth 4 marks in a test. 1 mark for each of these important points. The first one, if you remember, was a continuous x-axis. What that means is the x-axis doesn't have classes on it, it's continuous. So it would look something like this. Obviously yours is going to look more beautiful than mine, but 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. This is my data axis. The second key point is that cumulative frequency goes on the y-axis. Now often these two things will be done for you already in the exam paper, but if they're not, then the y-axis needs to have cumulative frequency on it. If you remember, our frequency polygon only had to go up to 6 because that was the highest that we had, but the cumulative frequency needs to go all the way up to 16. Okay, and obviously we need to remember to label it, otherwise we're going to lose marks. Now the third point, this is really important, and this is where people get confused between this and the frequency polygon, and it's about where we plot the points. In a frequency polygon, we plot the points in the middle of the class. But in a cumulative frequency graph, we plot the points at the top of the class. So plot points at the top of the class. Now if we can understand why, then we might remember it, I suppose. The reason that we're plotting at the top of the class, because when we're talking about cumulative frequency, we're saying there are 3 people that are less than 10. Let's imagine this was age for a moment. We've got 3 people that are less than 10 years old. We've got 9 people that are less than 15 years old. They're in this group or this group. We've got 14 people less than 20, and we've got 16 people less than 40. And to represent the 3 people less than 10, we kind of say, by the time we get to 10, we know we've definitely got 3 people. So we plot the points at the top end of the class, that is 10, and then the frequency is 3, so 10 and 3. The top end of the interval, 15 and 6, not 6, cumulative frequency, 9 here. The top end, 20 and 14, and the top end 40 and 16. And if you do these correctly, they are almost always going to turn into a nice S shape. Because there are no people younger than 0, we can also put an extra point at 0, 0. The final point is about how we join these up. It's not a frequency polygon, it's not a job for a ruler. In a cumulative frequency graph, we join the points with a smooth curve. Remember, it needs to go through all 4 points, and it needs to be as smooth as you can make it. And there's our cumulative frequency graph. We can now use that to find medians and quartiles. We can draw box and whisker plots and all the other things that we know how to do with cumulative frequency.